For me, kayak fishing is simple. A boat, a paddle, a fishing rod, and unspoiled water. The fish are big. The chaos is beautiful. It's angling's addictive final frontier, and I'm hooked. I'm Drew Gregory, and this is Hooked on Wild Waters. This week on Hooked on Wild Waters, I've had an amazing time. My good friend, Dr. Mindy Allen of the University of Florida, which we've seen before on Hooked on Wild Waters, on episode, I believe, 2, the Santa Fe River. You gave us some great advice to go over there. We talked about the Swanee bass. But now, when you're heading up the University of Florida Biological Research Station, right here in Cedar Key, it's been an amazing, amazing time. We caught many different species of fish. I'm blown away by the fact that most people hear the word key, right, and they think South Florida, Florida Keys.
Yeah.
But this is way up in the nature coast. I mean, what in the world's going on here?
Yeah, it's up in the Big Bend of Florida. And this area of the coast is one of the most undeveloped coastlines in the country, and it's spectacular paddling, fantastic mangroves. It's wonderful fishing.
It's been amazing, just been amazing. We caught several different species of fish, caught some really nice ones. It's just been an incredible time here. And one of the cool things about kayak fishing that I love is the fact that you can get into shallow water where other boats can't go. We get way back into this sort of, I would call it an island, but a cove inside of an island. It was beautiful, and the wind was really calm in this one side because of the mangroves. So I pushed my kayak way up against it, and I'm thinking some fish might be here because they want to be a little bit warmer. It looked kind of muddy. And I cast right on the bank, and the water just exploded. I think I spooked something. So I try to keep fishing after that fish. And next thing you know, I just look to my right and I see a redfish 10 feet from my kayak. So I just wind in real quick and I try not to move myself at all. I just go whoop. And sure enough, man, this fish, I twitched it a couple times and just wham, nailed it. I mean, it's unbelievable. It was really cool to be able to just sight fish a redfish like that, calm water, Cedar Key, amazing first fish, and great way to start the day. All right. Well, I've got this nice little redfish to start off the day. Awesome start to the day. How about that, Mike? Awesome start to the day, man. Thanks so much. And what was another thing that was cool about this fight is the fact that I was way up in some shallow water. No other boat could have got there. Only a kayak can get in these kind of places, so it's really special to be able to catch fish that they used to think they were just secluded and hidden, but now they're hooked, thanks to the old kayak. That first spot was great. You know, I caught that one redfish. You actually hooked up with a flounder that got off right of the boat, but you know, it just kind of got dead there. So they obviously live in schools, and so we decided we're going to paddle onto this other area, a different island, closer to the lab, and we see lots of birds, right? Wildlife. I mean, explain how it looked there, why it looked so fishy to us.
Yeah, we were coming in on Seahorse Key, and it's a beautiful spot with a lot of bird life and fantastic oyster beds right there. And I looked over, and you had hooked a redfish, and you're fighting your fish, and then I looked in front of me, and I saw a tail and a bunch of wakes going. I cast in front of those, and we had a double hook up there.
Sure enough, man, it holds true. They hang out in schools, they hang out together, and they're usually all together for a reason. There's good food to be had there, so they're all just kind of chowing down in this one spot. It was actually kind of cool because it kind of narrowed down. There was a big cove, and it narrowed down, and as the water's kind of coming out, it's just like the river fishing we do in wild waters. It's like a conveyor belt for food, so everything's kind of pulling out. That's exactly where they were. So they were in that fast food line, placing orders, and this time they got hooked.
That's a great analogy. It's just like river fishing. It really is. The tide positions the fish.
So things were pretty slow for a while. I mean, am I right?
Yeah.
Let's be truthful. We're pretty down there.
Yeah, it was
the heat
tough.
of the day, you know, it's really hot. The fish just didn't seem to want to bite. But all of a sudden, I hook up with this little guy here. And of course, Dr. Allen's got to top me. Got a double at the same time. Both on the same thing. Weren't we fishing the same streaks?
Yeah.
Z-Man streaks?
Yeah, mine was a jerk. Mine was a jerk shad.
The jerk shad. So. Unbelievable experience, man. And what happened? Tell us what happened. How'd you catch yours?
So you hooked your fish, and I was watching some activity, and then all of a sudden I saw a tail come across. I cast in front of it and just loaded up immediately. I think it was the same fish that showed his tail.
Absolutely, and that's the beauty of redfish, right? I mean, they hang out in groups and big schools together. If you see one, and they're not spooky. So even though I'm fighting a fish, making a lot of noise, hooting and hollering like Drew likes to do, of course, you still caught yours, which is awesome. So great job.
Awesome. So these redfish, Drew, are managed with a harvest slot limit, and it's basically a size limit that allows the intermediate sized fish to be kept. You can keep one per day between 18 and 27 inches. It means that the whole fishery is basically on the juveniles, but the fish are only vulnerable for fishing for about 1 year of their life, and then the rest of their life they can grow up and have babies. So it's a great regulation.
All right, well, we'll keep these and maybe do some research on them, huh?
Yeah, we're gonna show these with the school group tomorrow, how to pull ear bones out of them to age the fish.
Just to be sure, we're gonna check this fish and make sure it's in the slot. And fortunately for us, we're using these awesome bending branches paddles, which come with the measuring tape on it. So how's that look right there?
It's 18 1/4, so it's
18 1/4, perfect.
It's a harvest size fish. He's in the slot.
So now it's become a research fish. There we go. It's gonna be research fish. Help you guys manage these fisheries and learn more about this awesome resource you guys have here at Cedar Key. Love it.
Gotta love it.
So I'm here with Mindy Allen, and you are the project coordinator for the University of Florida Nature Coast Biological Station. You know, so many of us, Mindy, just take for granted the resources we have, and really you guys are out there doing research and making sure you can keep it the same way it is now and the way God intended it to be, as natural as possible. What do you guys do here to make sure that happens?
Well, one of the things that we're doing, Drew, is we're building, University of Florida is building the Nature Coast Biological Station in Cedar Key, which is about 3 miles from this island that we're standing on, Seahorse Key. And our opportunity there is to reach out to K through 12 who in this area, in this region, don't have the opportunity to see the natural resources in this environment. So one of the things we're doing is we're building an aquarium for them to actually visit there in Cedar Key. And then we have opportunities for them to come out to our island here at Seahorse Key Marine Lab and learn about things like mangroves and seagrasses and dolphins and fish. And it's just a great opportunity for them to get on the water and have the availability to do that.
Yeah, because I think the idea is probably if you get the kids out here learning about it, then they're informed about it, they know it's here, and they'll think twice about throwing their trash on the ground or whatever. The more we learn and more we're educated, the more we're gonna actually want to take care of it and protect it, because we see how incredible and wild it is. And so, Mindy, the University of Florida, leases this and manages this entire island, correct? And then you bring students out here. Where was that? Why didn't I see that when I was in college, right? I can come out here and just
it's a great
check out the outdoors. This is incredible. So what do you guys do with your projects?
So it's really great. We have graduate students, undergraduate students from the University of Florida, as well as other universities that bring students out here. We have a pre-Civil War lighthouse that's located on the property that has 26 bunks, and it has a newly renovated kitchen.
Wow, dude, can I get this on like Airbnb or something? It sounds incredible.
We can always have you come out. It'd be a great opportunity for you to spend the night and do some fishing here on the waters.
I'm always game for that. So if someone wanted to contribute and support the cause here, where would they go to find more information about how to do that?
So the Nature Coast Biological Station, we have a website, and they can find out information about how to donate. We are looking for things like funding for cisterns, as well as solar panels and kayaks for students to be able to use while they're out here.
We might can take care of some kayaks. Jackson Kayak, I think, makes a few good ones for doing a little research and fishing, of course. So that is incredible. Thank you so much for having us out here, and keep up the great work with what you guys are doing.
Thank you, Drew.
Something I'm really excited about is the fact that we got to keep a couple redfish, and then you guys are going to do some research on them right here.
Yeah, so the redfish we caught yesterday we're going to use for determining age and growth, and we'll also use them for training some students. To remove the otolith, you can either go in from the top of the head or underneath the fish. I usually go in from underneath, but those otoliths are floating bones that are inside the skull capsule, and so we'll go in and crack that open and pull them out with a set of tweezers, and we can pull out an otolith and section it with a saw and read the exact age of the fish, just like rings on a tree, which is really useful for understanding the stock size, stock assessment, and whether fishing mortality is too high. So we use it in management of red drum and other fish species.
As we talk about how fish in the inshore fisheries and rivers sort of feed like food on a conveyor belt as the tide is moving or the current in the river.
Really, the tide's more important than the time of day. You know, a lot of times in freshwater fishing, we want to be there early and late, but in saltwater environment, the tide and how it influences water flow has a much bigger impact on fish behavior and feeding than
Right.
the time of day.
We get to a point, you know, here where it's slack. You know, whether it's low tide and it's slack or it's high tide, and generally it's just kind of dead. So we just fished hard around the lab and just didn't get anything. We just took a little break. But eventually we decided to paddle over to another small island and just waited on that tide to move. And sure enough, you told me, you said, if you just keep fishing this area, you could just sit here and stake out. You know, you take the power pole, stake out down, and just keep casting, and eventually let the redfish come to you.
Yeah.
And that's sort of what we did. We just went real slow around the island, just kept going, fishing the same spot because we knew they were there.
Yeah.
And eventually we got back around to the place we'd already fished, right? And all of a sudden now, an hour later,
Yeah.
bam, you hook up with this nice snook.
Oh, whoa. Snook.
Yeah, so we've known the snook have been here from our agency partners collecting them in their sampling. But that was the first one that I've managed to catch here in Cedar Key. And it was a great opportunity for us to get a genetic fin clip. We're doing a genetic study in partnership with the Florida FWC to understand if these snook that are on the northern edge of the range and an expanding population northward, are they genetically different than snook further south in the Everglades?
Wow.
And so that fish will help contribute to that study.
Well, we're glad to help out with that. Normally we catch and release, we'd love to do that, but every once in a while, for the right purposes, obviously today, and every once in a while to eat a few, of course, fish are very tasty, so it doesn't hurt one bit. So glad to be a part of that research, glad to come to Cedar Key, and definitely glad to be hooked on wild waters. As you know, when the cameras stop rolling on Hooked on Wild Waters, Drew Gregory just keeps fishing for whatever reason. I just can't stop, man. I'm out there with daylight, I'm gonna make casts. You catch a redfish, a nice 20-inch redfish.
He's a fighter. It's decent. It's 20 inches probably. He doesn't want to give up. Nice little lower slot size redfish.
And so we just keep going. Hey, we're gonna fish till dark, right? We're out there already. And of course you can't script this. I catch this big 25.5-inch redfish right at dark. It was just an incredible time. It really put the cherry on top of the entire day here at Cedar Key.
Nicely done.
All right, so typical Hooked on Wild Waters fashion. At the end of the day, you had just caught a nice snook and then another redfish. We knew we had a few minutes left after we even did a closing of the show. And sure enough, we're just firing off casts. And maybe this is our new closing, man. This is actually why we're hooked on wild waters, the big red fish like this. Thank you so much for all you guys do to research these fish, protect these fish, because I love it, man. I know you guys do too. Maybe there's a little bit of light left. We might can make a few more casts. What a fish. Clearly you guys can see, kayak friendly, amazing habitat, amazing fishing. Hey, it's definitely why Dr. Allen and I are hooked on wild waters.
Drew Gregory's Hooked on Wild Waters has been brought to you by Jackson Kayak, we make fun. GoPro, be a hero. Bending Branches, pretty, smart paddles. Orion Coolers, never lose your cool. 13 Fishing, make your own luck. Z-Man Lures, the science and art of fishing.